So we'll get straight into it. As we can see, the past week in Bitcoin has been a little turbulent. We managed to reach over close to $76,000 on Tuesday before briefly dipping down to around 67.5K. Although as I'm filming this, we've just had a big pop to the upside, which is pretty nice. If I go over to the TradingView chart here, we can see on the weekly time frame, unfortunately last week did close as a red one, so that ended our 2-week consecutive of green closes, but as I said, we've opened up fairly nicely there. Now, of course, the main talking point is still the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Is it going to be World War III? What's going on with Iran? Honestly, I don't think anyone really knows. There's missiles being sent, but there's also oil tankers that are being let through. It's a very odd time indeed. If we just look at the oil price here, we can see we've actually opened the week and massively spiked to the downside after climbing quite high last week, rebounding from the gap down we'd set the week prior. So potentially this is going to lead to some more bullish price appreciation. Everyone's been looking at the crude oil futures prices as an indication of where we may go. But as we can see, this hasn't necessarily helped the S&P 500 scores, which has dipped to around 6.5K and sets us to a current retracement from the all-time high at around 7 to 8%. What we can also see, if we go to the gold price, it had an absolutely terrible previous week, proving itself as the true store of value asset from open to low at around 10.5%. And judging by the support area I drew on this chart, I might need to redraw it because it absolutely sliced through that. Although we have recently rebounded from this 200 daily moving average, so there is some positive indication that maybe we'll have at least a short-term relief bounce in gold and potentially other commodities like silver. But ultimately, this is all just looking fairly decent for Bitcoin. We can see versus the S&P, obviously here we had a few days of retracement, but we're still seeing higher highs and higher lows in this comparative ratio. The NASDAQ chart, we did retrace from that all-time high previous retest from that 2017 peak that we set, and hopefully we can reclaim this Fibonacci retracement level and turn it into support, again cementing ourselves for some higher highs and higher lows. But the best charts are looking at Bitcoin's relative power versus gold, which continues to march exponentially higher, and especially versus silver too, which if it can break through from around this range and above this Fibonacci retracement above, then we should see massive prolonged periods of outperformance from Bitcoin relative to silver. Now, as I've mentioned a fair bit recently, truly this could be one of Bitcoin's best opportunities to show itself as a true inflationary hedge store of value asset and have a period of decoupling. And we can see the federal balance sheet is continuing to expand. So this isn't exactly the worst time for Bitcoin in terms of macroeconomic conditions. I know we're getting some M2 year-on-year contraction and the US dollar strength index continues to climb, but Bitcoin thrives in these kinds of expansion of federal balance sheet phases. We had flagged last week that the one data point that we really should be watching was at the FOMC meeting on their decision on the federal interest rate target range. What we can see is it remained constant as expected, but now rather than pricing in a potential probability of rate cuts, we're now actually potentially seeing expectations of a rate increase, which led to Bitcoin ultimately having this retracement. But like I said, this Fed hawkishness has coincided with the US dollar strength index continuing to rise and global M2 on a year-on-year basis continuing to slow down. So realistically, even though we are seeing federal balance sheet expansion, I doubt we're going to see a true phase of Bitcoin outperformance or any prolonged upside appreciation until we see a more prolonged period of global M2 expansion. Keep in mind, Bitcoin can relatively outperform every other asset just by going down slower. One thing we did see recently is a big decrease in the Bitcoin mining difficulty. Clearly, as Bitcoin is flirting around that production cost in terms of electrical terms, it means that they're really not making a huge amount of profit margins on their actual Bitcoin production. And as a result of this, we have seen a big decrease of around 8% in the Bitcoin mining difficulty. Although, as we've seen historically, big periods of mining capitulation when looking at the hash ribbons or something usually coincide with pretty good accumulation opportunities, especially when looking at buying Bitcoin for the long term. In terms of Bitcoin news, last week we did briefly touch on the Morgan Stanley Bitcoin ETF, and we can see MSBT is potentially ready to move the needle as that got the green light to officially stamp the Morgan Stanley Bitcoin Trust as the first spot Bitcoin ETF distributed by a major US bank, which, even though it's starting small, is at least a positive indication of expectations and feeling in the traditional finance world. However, we can see this is not bringing any more capital inflows back into the market. When looking at the cycle capital flows chart, we are pretty much dead set on bear market territory low terms, which again, if we're looking to strategically accumulate when everyone else is capitulating, doesn't look like a bad area to be doing so. But in spite of all of the seemingly bullish things that we've seen in Bitcoin over the past year, bullish leadership party, bullish regulation changes, etc., really, it still seems like there's not a huge amount of retail interest in Bitcoin, especially when we look at the active address growth trend, which when we look at a 60-day or 2-month average, has recently reached bear market low territory from the 2018-2019 cycle, lower than the average 2-monthly usage we've seen for about the last 6 or 7 years. Although one other positive development that we're seeing is that alongside continued accumulation via strategy, really aggressively buying recently over the past few weeks after starting the year off pretty slowly, they're actually doing so in a way that doesn't just dilute all existing equity at the detriment of shareholders. We can see that equity contributions fell to around 396 million, so we only partially got shafted by Saylor's equity dilution there, when 1.18 billion of it actually came from their STRC or stretch funding, which is pretty positive. Hopefully we can see other treasury companies, again, continue to accumulate without just consistently diluting and reducing share prices. And literally 1 minute ago, as I filmed this, we can see they just bought another 1,000 Bitcoin at pretty much the local highs. They continue to accumulate at pretty terrible prices, but we can see that cost basis of around $75,500 is going to be a pretty key level just psychologically to try and overcome for Bitcoin over the coming weeks, especially if we can start making some ground. But over 762,000 Bitcoin is pretty impressive work nonetheless. And we can see it's not just Saylor willing to hold Bitcoin for the long term, as the Bitcoin long-term holder supply continues to accelerate very, very aggressively to the upside, indicating that long-term holder conviction is coming back as more Bitcoin moves from speculative hands to those with the longest time frame horizons, which is pretty good to see. As we can see, every single Bitcoin bear market was kind of concluded with the massive acceleration of long-term holder supply massively increasing. That doesn't mean that there's not more downside to come. As we've said, 50K is very much still a possibility, but the fact that we're seeing less and less people capitulating, not just in terms of retail, but when we look at ETF flows as well, and those are willing to hold for the long term, gives us some supply and demand economics, hopefulness that the worst is behind us. In terms of the week ahead, there's not a whole lot to really keep your eye on, apart from the Flash Services PMI, which is essentially just an early estimation based on a majority of the data, giving us some insight into the bullishness and optimism within the manufacturing industry, and potentially some insights into the potential business cycle that we're seeing. There are unemployment claims coming out on Thursday, so can be worth keeping an eye on that. Potentially we can see some volatility, but ultimately I think the main thing to watch is obviously the progression of conflict in the Middle East. If we just quickly go back to the chart, what we can see is I think the expectations are to definitely hold this blue trend line, to continue our trend of higher highs and higher lows. Realistically, I would like us to set continuous highs and make this $70,000 region into a very solid level of foundational support. But again, if we can continue to make relative ground compared to other assets like gold and equities, then that's definitely going to make some progress for us long term. And I do still think that we really don't have too much resistance ahead of us until we start getting it to around the $80,000 region. I do think strategic dollar cost averaging around here is a pretty good asymmetric risk to reward opportunity. And finally, in other news, if you do have a wife at home, make sure she's not using the CCTV to steal over $170 million of Bitcoin, or if she is planning on it, make sure you do book the house to catch her in the act, because 2,323 Bitcoin being stolen via your recovery phrase by your wife is, probably not the best day for you. And that's everything you need to know in Bitcoin and markets this week. Realistically, you just need to keep an eye on what's happening in the Middle East. Not a whole lot has really changed. We've seen an additional few percent drawdown in the equity markets and commodities, but Bitcoin is holding relatively strong. So hopefully this strength can continue. But I think until we get a major news break that the situation has massively improved, or hopefully not gotten considerably worse, then I think we're just going to see this slight chopping and ranging with minimal volatility until we get this big breakout move. But thank you all very much for watching and listening, and I'll see you all next week.